live stream in quite a while. Figured I'd say hello. Let's see if anybody shows up. I'm here in Thailand. I'm in a place called Krabi, Krabi. Bought a new Tesla Model Y, paid for it like 6 weeks ago, but went up 2 days ago, flew up to Bangkok, picked the car up, and drove to Krabi, Thailand. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Maybe I need to make the microphone more sensitive. I don't know. Anyway, it's great to see everybody again. It's been a long time. I'm in the Mountain View guest room of our house, and you can see mountains out here. Neighbor's house over there with a swimming pool. And like I said, we just picked up our new Model Y and we road tripped. It's about 800 kilometers. Hello, 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 Quasi. It's about 800 kilometers from Bangkok to where we are, 500 miles. And it was, we basically drove through the night. We started driving, I want to say around 5 o'clock, terrible Bangkok traffic. I joke that we had 5 hours. We had a 3-hour drive, we had a 3-hour drive, and after 2 hours, we were 3 hours from getting there. So, picked up the car. There's a delivery process. If you go on my channel, I think I have the video up where you can watch some highlights from everything that happened. But I just figured, hey, let's have a conversation and see how things are going and see if anybody has any questions or thoughts. So. The delivery event, you show up. I'm seeing hearts, so I'm guessing people can hear me. You show up and they check you in. There's a tiny bit of paperwork, not that much. They have you watch a 30-minute video that's in Thai. My wife watched that and she figured all that stuff out, so I didn't have to. Then they take you up to the 4th floor with an elevator. There's a bunch of cars. I think it was almost all new Model Ys, one Model 3. And they did a little light show for us. And then we walk around the car. You check out the car. You make sure you're comfortable with it. And you drive away. So my friend Chris, who's in the thumbnail of the photo, it's Trader KP is a big YouTube channel that's primarily in Thai language. He has like 600,000 subscribers, I think, on YouTube. He showed up. He helped make sure that everything went okay. He's the head of the Tesla Thailand Investors Club. And yeah, please let me know if you can hear me. Just post something in the chat. I'm not seeing a lot of response, so just making sure people can hear and everything. So we drove him out back to his car. He has an Xpeng X9, which is a 7-passenger. Okay, thank you, Joe. It's an Xpeng. It's like a 7-passenger luxury minivan, sort of, and it has the way they do it in Asia is you hear about massaging seats. It's the second row that has massaging seats because the rich people pay some guy to drive them around. They don't drive themselves, which makes sense in Bangkok because traffic is just awful and human drivers are cheap in Thailand. And I think they're cheap in China, which is where a lot of this comes from. So from there, we drove over to my wife's mother's townhome or shop house, it's called, that they're moving out of. We picked up her nephew and we started driving out of Bangkok and sat in traffic quite a bit in a very nice, comfortable Tesla that was not burning gasoline while it was sitting in traffic. So, very energy efficient there. The drive from Bangkok to Krabi, Thailand, where we are, is about 500 miles, 800 kilometers. There's 3 superchargers on the way, not counting the ones that are in Bangkok. There's a supercharger in a place called Hua Hin. That's Huahin. It's a popular place for foreigners to retire to. Then there's a spot called Chumpon, Chumphon, which is not particularly famous or well known. It's actually got some very nice beaches, but it's not super popular. Even Thai people don't necessarily know that much about it. I think it was Prachuap Khiri is a city on the way from Hua Hin to Chumpon, and like some Thai people don't seem to know there's a city there because it's the name of the province and they think that's the province, not the city. But anyway, Hua Hin, Chumpon, and then a supercharger at Surat Thani, Surathani. Yeah. So we went. We could have done it just by stopping at Chumpon, The Model Y long range probably has 320, 350 miles of real world range. Speeds typically are not that high in Thailand. You might get up to 70 miles an hour. You're not really, it's like, I think 120 kph is, you might drive faster than it occasionally, but most of the time you're averaging 100 kilometers per hour if you're lucky, because there's just trucks in the road, and it's a 2-lane each way highway, and there's a bunch of trucks, and you just don't average that much speed. So you can probably go a really long way from, we were charged like 88% by Tesla when we left. So you can probably go, we could have made it to Chumpon, charged in Chumpon, and then driven home, but then we would have arrived home without a lot of charge, and there's no superchargers in Krabi. We are plugged into a wall outlet. I'll show you that actually. So you can see, this is the car currently. We're plugged into a wall outlet. We're getting 2 kilowatts. I reduced it to 11 amps. It should go to 16 amps. For some reason, it only goes to 13 amps, and I don't care. So at 16 amps, it would be basically 4 kilowatts. 230 volts times 16 amps is close to 4 kilowatts. It's like 3.8 kilowatts. But because Thai wire, and that's like an American home, you'd get 120 volts, 12 amps, and you'd get about 1 kilowatt. In Thailand, 240 volts is common, and then up to 16 amps is pretty normal. So it's not, but you have to be sure that the outlet is wired properly, and you don't want to burn out one of your outlets, and you don't want to burn out the wiring. So I reduce it just to make it good. But, charging at 2 kilowatts, we're not going to be doing a lot of driving on a daily basis here in Krabi. Maybe we'll drive 100 kilometers a day, probably less than that. Well, that's 25 kilowatt hours. Most days we'll probably drive less than 100 kilometers. So it's pretty easy to just plug in at home, charge it up, and we're all good. So anyway, so the trip, if we had gone Road Warrior and stopped in Chumpon, we would have arrived here very low. And I did get the mobile charging kit, which was delivered to the house before we flew to Bangkok. So we knew we had it here. Plug it into the wall, everything works, that's fine. But we ended up stopping at all 3 places. In Hua Hin, it's on the edge of a shopping mall, a small shopping, like right next to the shopping mall, basically on a side road. There's 3 chargers. You plug in. There was nobody else there. The mall was closed when we got there. We ended up going to a beach hotel across the street and hanging out. And the coffee, they have like a bar cafe right on the beach. So we're basically sitting on the beach, or sitting just above the beach, and had a coffee or so before we got back in the car and drove to Chumpon. Chumpon is kind of middle of nowhere. It's on the highway. The problem with Hua Hin is you have to go off the highway and go into Hua Hin to go to the supercharger, instead of having a supercharger on the highway. So that makes the trip a little longer. Chumpon, it's right on the highway, but there's not much around it. When am I going to start complaining about not having FSD? I have full wife driving. So my wife drives, and I don't have to do anything, and she's probably better than FSD. So I have full wife driving. I did drive some. I did get my Thai driver's license. I don't have my wallet on me, but I did get my driver's license. Today is Saturday, so I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I got my Thai driver's license, so I'm legit. I'm insured. My wife owns the car. It's easier to have my wife own the car. All the people who are fond of Westerners coming to Thailand and marrying somebody and buying her a house or whatever, and they're all worried. Don't worry, I'll be okay financially. Buying my wife a car. Don't panic for me. But I put the car in her name. Its insurance is in her name. Anyway, so then Chumpon, there's not a lot around it. There's like a cafe there. What's it called? The Garage Cafe. The cafe was closed because it was late at night. There were bathrooms we could use. Then Surat Thani, it's in a place called, again, another cafe. It's close. It's really close to the highway, but you have to go on this crappy dirt road for like, I don't know, 100 yards or something like that, with some potholes. And then you pull in charge. And I think there was a bathroom available there too, even though the cafe was closed. Yeah. Have I commented on Barry Glack leaving Tesla? We'll talk about Barry Glack later. I just want to finish the road trip story first. So anyway, car drove great. We've been driving around. My wife has a 2015 or 2016 Honda City, which I call the Honda Shitty. So massive upgrade from driving a 2000. Honda City is smaller than a Honda Civic. It's not the super small vehicles, but hey, Mark and Mark, great to see you guys. So it's not the super small, tiny little cars, but it's a small sedan, smaller than a Honda Civic. And it's just tight. Like when I get in the car, my legs brush the steering wheel as I come under, and it's not. It has a backup camera, but it just doesn't have a lot of tech. So getting in a Tesla is just like a massive tech upgrade, and everything's And I think the Honda City is probably like 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers in 10 seconds, and this is 4.4 seconds. With the acceleration boost comes with the Model Y Launch Edition. I should mention this. Let me just mention this really quick. So I was a little concerned that I was overpaying for the Model Y Launch Edition, but I get acceleration boost. I get the color of my choice. I got Glacier Blue. If you check my channel, I just posted a video, about 5-minute long video, that shows a lot of this, picking up the vehicle on the road trip. So Glacier Blue, I don't think is available in the United States. So that's like a nice little thing. White interior. I didn't go for the upgraded wheels, the 20-inch wheels, because I wanted to ride better on rough roads, which Thailand has some of those. And I want a little bit more efficiency. So the 19-inch wheels are more efficient. You get more range. Have I aligned my Tesla position with upcoming robo-taxi launch? We'll talk about that in a second. I haven't really changed recently, but yeah, exactly, Mark. Not too much for a Tesla there. But so the car cost just over 2 million baht, which I think is around $57,000 US. No, I think it's 64. I think 2 million baht. I'd have to do the math. It's 32 baht per dollar. So I think maybe Grock said it was like $58,000 US. And I was concerned I was overpaying, but as I was waiting for the car to come, because I had to wait for delivery, I kept checking, like, if I decided to buy a Model 3 instead, how much money would I save? If I decided to buy a Model Y rear, a cheaper Model Y, how much money would I save? And I think they made the Launch Edition a really good deal. You get like this thing when you open the door, there's a projected image on the floor. There's a little badge on the back. You get the acceleration boost and other stuff. I think I got a really good deal on this car by Thailand standards. So the delivery experience was, they make you watch a video that I didn't need to watch, but I think it was valuable for my wife. They do a little light show for you and 6 other buyers as they're delivering you your cars. And then you get in you walk around the car, check it out, inspect it a little bit, take some videos and take some pictures, and then you hop in the car and drive away. I wouldn't say it was like exciting, but it was okay. I will say there were some frustrating details. So I live in Krabi, which is 500 miles or 800 kilometers south of Bangkok. Thailand is a very large country. Chiang Mai is the next largest city after Bangkok. Chiang Mai is about 500 miles or 800 kilometers north of Bangkok. I think it's 750 kilometers. And there's only one Tesla store in the entire country. So you have to go to Bangkok to get your car, and they won't deliver it. They won't put it on a truck and deliver it to you. You got to go get it. So we flew up to Bangkok, and it's no big deal. We brought my nephew down with us and everything. So I think that's frustrating. I wanted to get the mobile connector, and I contacted my sales rep. He says, well, you have to order it online, and it'll be delivered to your house. Like, you don't have them in the store? Like, what if I wanted to pick it up and put it in the car right when I pick up the car? How do you not? There's one Tesla store in the whole country, and you don't have mobile connector. The mobile connector is the thing you plug into a wall outlet. Like, why don't you have that ready in the store for people who are buying the car? You sell it to me for $200 in the store. Maybe you'll sell more of them. I don't know. And in Thailand, this is an important detail. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but Thailand, you can charge at home if your outlet's wired properly, just proper outlet wiring. It's 240 volts, 16 amps. You get close to 4 kilowatts. In America, it's 1 kilowatt. So charging at home makes a lot of sense without having anything special. Well, so Mark, we're not in Bangkok. We were in Bangkok to pick up the car, but we left Bangkok within hours. Traffic here in Krabi is not bad at all. Bangkok's terrible, but Krabi is not bad at all. I think Model 3 is still a very good choice, but if you think you're going to be putting a lot of stuff in your car, Model Y is fantastic. Yeah, and another thing, like Tesla store in America, you can order accessories for your Tesla model, for the new Model Y already, but they're not available in Thailand yet. They only started delivering the cars like 2 weeks ago. But I don't see what the hurdle is of being able to order a cargo liner for my car. Why isn't that ready already? So I have little gripes and complaints about things Tesla could do better, but once you get in the car and drive, it's so much better than anything else on the road. It rides smooth. Thailand roads can be a little rough. I don't think they're worse than California or Texas, but they can be a little rough. The car rides smooth. That new suspension is outstanding. The acceleration, especially with the acceleration boost, is just nuts. It's super fast. Super efficient. It just feels efficient. Like, we pull into the charger and it like 52%. We had 52%. We pull into a charger. Like I said, if we had decided to go, if you missed this earlier, we did 3 stops on the way from Bangkok. We could have done 1 stop and gone Road Warrior, but I'm an old man. I got to pee. EU just started deliveries in May too. Yeah, okay. So I think that covers it. Good trip. If you have questions about the trip, if you have questions about the car, it's great. Great for local roads. It stands out like crazy here in Krabi. Bangkok has a lot more diversity of vehicles. Krabi, I feel like I see a lot of 5-year-old Toyotas and Hondas and stuff, and so this car looks like it's from the future. The future should look like the future. So, what were some questions here? Have I adjusted my Tesla stock position with upcoming robo-taxi launch? So I would say this is before I was thinking about the robo-taxi launch being imminent. I'd say several months ago, I started, I have a Roth IRA. So for Americans, there are retirement accounts, and I have most of my Tesla stock is in retirement accounts. There's a kind of retirement account called a Roth IRA. The traditional retirement account is you don't pay any taxes on the money as you go in. You pay income tax on the money when you draw it out. In a Roth IRA, you pay taxes on the money when you put it in. When you earn it, you don't get a break on the tax on the income you earn, but you don't pay taxes when you take it out. So I adopted the strategy of holding my options, which if Tesla stock goes up, they go up a lot more, in a Roth IRA. So I basically have my Roth IRA as all January 2027 Tesla options, with strike prices ranging from $600 to, I don't know, 860 or 920 or something like that. No, there's no Tesla activists here, and there's no problems like that over here. There's no Palestinian activists. There's no activists. I haven't seen a protest the entire time I've been in Thailand. It's been like 16 months. It's a quiet, peaceful society. Happy people. I mean, there's a lot of activity in a very small areas that gets a lot of attention, but the reality is life in Thailand is great. So I was targeting something like 10% of my portfolio in options when I was doing, 5%. And then I flexed. So I'm somewhere between 5 and 10%, I think was the target. I actually haven't looked in the last couple of days to see where I am as a percentage. I think I'm in the ballpark of 10% options. I do think robo-taxi launch is a big deal. I'm not convinced that Wall Street is going to figure it out. I thought Wall Street would figure it out quickly. I'm starting to think that Wall Street's going to take a while to figure out how important robo-taxi is, how important Optimus is, but we'll see. The options I bought early are still down. The options I bought more recently, but my biggest options purchase was when the stock was trading like 240. So you can imagine that particular set of options with the strike price of 600 for January 2027. You can imagine that set of options is up a lot. I think it's up more than double. My other options are down still. I think overall I'm down a little bit on the options, but if you see Tesla stock going to $500 a share, $600 or $700 a share, those options are going to go up like crazy. So, so you want, if you expect to have high gains, you want them in a tax-free account. If you're not American, if you don't have American retirement accounts, that stuff doesn't matter. I started buying Tesla stock in 2016, Mark. Yeah, it was February 2016, shortly after the first SpaceX rocket booster landed. So, Mark, you said Tesla Model Q seen testing at Fremont alleged. I saw that image. A couple of my friends are very excited about it and think that they, know what it is, and it's 20 centimeters shorter or whatever. I'm not sure it's not just a performance Model Y. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm very positive about Tesla's future. Obviously, robotaxi starting. Well, it's May 31st here. I think it's still May. I think it's maybe it's May 30th, late May 30th in the United States right now. But it's 11 a.m. here in Thailand. So in about, a few days, a couple weeks, a month, we're going to see robotaxis operating in Austin. I think we've seen some hints that they're going to have robotaxi operating in California, not that far away. Once robotaxi starts operating, we'll see how quickly it scales. But you just sort of wonder, once they start operating the vehicles as taxis and they start taking rides and they start charging money, then at some point Wall Street has. Well, so Mark Plot, I saw the June 12th number, but that was like Bloomberg, according to people familiar with the matter. We don't know. It could be June 1st. It could be June 30th. I would say June 9th, 69 would make the most sense from a Tesla nerd perspective. But it's going to launch when it's going to launch. And then once it's on the road and it's operating, then you would hope that some people on Wall Street, some of the bigger investors would start doing the math. You would think they would start doing it now, but once it starts demonstrating that they're able to deliver rides successfully without chaos ensuing, all right, you do the math. Okay, they're delivering rides. They're charging $2 a mile. What's their cost? Wait a minute. Their cost is 30 cents a mile. They're making $1.70 a mile. How many of these rides are they going to do? How's this going to work? Hey, Jim, sorry about that. How we've been going for 20 minutes. You didn't miss that much. I described the road trip, but you can watch the video. The video is probably better than me talking about it. So for those who don't know, Mark, and Jim are moderators, and I haven't been doing live streams a lot, but they've been consistently moderating the chat on my live streams in the past, and great to see those guys again. So I think that at some point, Wall Street, not Wall Street, but like large investors start to do the math and say, well, if you're going to make $1.70 a mile, and maybe long term it's $1 a mile revenue, and your profit is 70 cents a mile, and you start doing the math and say, wait a minute, 70 cents a mile gross profit, and you drive 100,000 miles a year, well, that's $70,000 in gross. And they only get 60,000 paid miles, right? You're $42,000 a year in gross profit. If you had 1 million of those cars, boy, that would be $42 billion a year in gross profit. What was Tesla's gross profit last year? Oh, it was less than 20 billion. Okay, there's some growth there, folks. So I think that the math isn't that hard to do, and it's just a question of when the robo-taxis start running, how long does it take for significant investors to do the math? And it's not complicated math. And, what's the total addressable market? Well, if Tesla has 10 million robo-taxis, now you're talking about $400 billion in gross profit a year. Oh, well, America doesn't have room for that many. Well, they're going to be in China. Eventually, they'll be in Europe, Japan. There's a lot of countries. I think there probably is room in America for 10 million robo-taxis, but we'll see. Oh, well, Uber only has 5 million taxis. Yeah, but when you lower the price to $1 a mile, the market grows a lot. Elon's timeline is aggressive with maximum safety. Yeah, look, they start running the taxis. They see how it goes. They learn from it. Just like you launch a rocket and then you learn from what went wrong with the rocket launch. They'll run some robo-taxis. They'll learn from whatever mistakes happen with the robo-taxis, and then they'll do more robo-taxis and keep tweaking and making sure everything's working right. It'll get better and better and better. And at a certain point, they scale and they have 10 robo-taxis, and they'll have 100 robo-taxis. Then they'll have 1,000 robo-taxis, and they'll have 10,000 robo-taxis. And somewhere in there, the market figures it out. Probably, in my opinion, before January 2027, when my options have their strike date. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then we should be seeing more Optimus robots by the end of this year somewhere, maybe inside the factories, maybe elsewhere. And then next year, we should start to see Optimus out and about. And that's, an even bigger game changer than the robo-taxi. So that's the stock. I'm personally I'm okay, right? I got enough. Life looks good. I think it'll be more than 1,000 Optimus by the end of the year, but we'll see. If it's 500, if it's 5,000, I don't think it makes a big difference. The dance of nines. Yes, we got to what do you call it? The March of Nines. The March of Nines. So that's great stuff. Everything's great with Tesla. Really excited about it. I thought the Starship launch, of course, the media came down on it and crapped on it. And some other, grumpy people will say, oh, it was a failure. Well, I think all 33 engines, was it 33 or 31? All the engines on the booster worked all the way to stage separation. Stage separation, which is hot staging, went flawlessly as far as I could tell. The booster, and it's a reflown booster with reflown engines. First time they've done that with Starship. That's a big deal. And that flipped and started. I think there was something special about the flip, how they did that. That went well. Starship got to orbital velocity, or the equivalent of orbital velocity, with no problem, with 6 engines running, all engines running smoothly. I think there were some issues that happened afterwards. What do I think of Musk's pseudo-revised Optimus production brand? Do I think he's sandbagging? No, I think the first generation production Optimus will be somewhat limited. I think the idea is that they want to produce a significant volume of them and then get a sense of, okay, how can we do this better? Right? I think that, everything they're doing is, first time they've done it. So 33 Raptor 3s and 9 more is 42. That's for the future version of Starship. I'm not sure that's the one. The one that launched had 6 engines on the ship, and I don't remember how many it had on the booster. So I think that you got to recognize that they started Optimus from scratch, basically, and so they're learning what works better and what works worse, and how can we make this, the robot more efficient? How can we make the robot more capable? And then how can we make manufacturing the robot more efficient so we can manufacture them in higher volume? So there'll be a second generation of bot probably sometime in 2026, and then that one will be made in much higher volume, and then it'll be the one after that that will go crazy. First outside customers for Optimus, I'm going to guess some kind of warehouse operation, but I'm only guessing. Pepsi would make sense. The semi, Pepsi Frito-Lay uses semi, and they're using it to connect to warehouse operations. So riding along in semi, if you think about it, you have a human driver in semi, you could have Optimus sitting on the floor next to him. Maybe 100 tons to order. What's my impression of Musk's statement on maxable GDP? I don't think I saw that statement. I think he wants to increase GDP. I think the theory is if we can't get government, and I disagree with Elon on this. I think his theory is if we can't get government to be more efficient, then we need to grow the economy fast enough that we don't go bankrupt. And the problem is, as I see it, no matter how big you make the economy, no matter how fast you grow the economy, Congress will grow spending faster than you can grow the economy. Politicians will destroy the country if they can. And people think Elon, gave it a good shot, and he didn't, whatever. The positive spin on Elon and Doge is he gave it a good shot, and he goes back. And the negative spin is he wasted his time. I personally think he should try harder. I think he should. I'm not complaining. I'm not going to go to Elon. I'm not going to post, "Hey, Elon, do more." I'm not going to do any of that. I think that I would like to see the focus placed on the members of Congress who are resisting the Doge cuts. If the Doge cuts are not going to happen, if Congress is going to continue to increase spending and continue to have radically large deficit spending, then I would like to see a focus brought on the individual members of Congress who are responsible for that, and let them, because the people want it. The people want government to be more efficient. People want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. And if Republicans are going to be on board with continuing waste, fraud, and abuse, then we need to expose them, and we need to primary them. And I think Elon could do that. I think he maybe recognized there's limits on how much he can accomplish there, but he gave it a shot. I wonder if he could have accomplished more. My gut hunch is Elon saw what he could do and decided, okay, I got to get back to my companies and get shit done. So are the Doge cuts coming next week? We'll see. Both parties are full of, is spendthrift the right word? I thought spendthrifts for people who didn't spend. But the parties are full of people who spend way too much money because it's other people's money. And the problem is you have to have somebody replace them who's going to do better. That's the real hurdle. Is number one, it's really hard to beat an incumbent in a primary. And then you have to have somebody come along who's willing to run. And there's a real shortage of quality people who are willing to do that kind of work. What do I think about his focus on 1 terawatt production? Tesla will be an energy producer for sure. I think Tesla's going to deploy massive solar. I think Tesla is going to deploy massive solar. I think SpaceX will deploy massive solar. I don't know if you guys saw Drew Baglino's announcement. I should mention this. Drew Baglino announced a startup, Heron Energy, I think it's called, that will be producing basically hardware for scaling energy generation and transmission. And I'm really excited about that. I think it has to do with voltage transformers and a shortage of voltage transformers. And I think Drew has an idea about how you can engineer the electrical infrastructure better. So yeah, you need, what is we got? He wants to see a 1 gigawatt data center, or is it 1 terawatt data center? Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff happening there. Thank you, Jared. Not only does Trump spend so much more than input and tax cuts it's not about I don't care about tax cuts. I mean, I want tax cuts. I mean, tax cuts are a good thing, but controlling spending is that anytime somebody talks about taxes, oh, we need to tax the rich people, you're just ignoring the problem. The problem is you got to cut spending. If you get distracted by who's paying taxes, you're missing the point. The problem is spending, period. Thoughts on XAI plus Tesla? Great question, Quasi. I do not think that Tesla will buy XAI. I think XAI is going to grow fast enough and big enough that Tesla won't be able to afford to buy XAI. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think Tesla needs to buy SpaceX. I don't think Tesla needs to buy Neuralink. Tesla needs to be Tesla. XAI is doing large language models. It is doing a focus on understanding the universe compute. Tesla is doing real world AI. They're different things. I think Elon wants them separate. And the people who joined XAI joined because they wanted to be part of a startup, not because they wanted to be part of a $1 trillion corporation. Their equity opportunities are better in a startup. Is something going to change there? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't know. 1 terawatt data center. I think that the scale of that is really big. I think the only way this happens is if Tesla deploys massive solar, like just absolutely batshit crazy massive solar. Any chance he'll harness thruster exhaust for energy? No, that seems really unlikely. Tesla will pass XAI. It's really hard for me to wrap my head around what will AGI be valued at. Is XAI's AI going to be more valuable than Tesla's AI? I don't really have a way of wrapping my head around what XAI's value is going to be. I don't know. And I should mention, I use Grock a lot. I use ChatGPT some. I use a couple of other AIs, Claude and Gemini and Perplexity. And I find that if you push them the right way, they're pretty limited. Like recently, a friend of mine who's also in Thailand has been working on trying to study Thai better. And he was trying to set up a system to use, I think he was using Claude. And he was like programming Claude basically to retain this vocabulary list and then generate some sentences for me with the vocabulary I have, and then add a couple sentences. And I was playing this game too, and then grow the vocabulary list. And it turns out the AIs are not very good at holding a vocabulary list. They change the vocabulary list. They add words into the list that weren't there. They take words out that were there. I fed 310 words from Grock into ChatGPT, and then I asked ChatGPT for a count, and there were 180 words. Is Grock 3.5 out already? Oh, okay. I was wrong, Jim. You're right. I'm sorry. My Optimus timeline is I expect that Tesla will have somewhere between 500 and 5,000 Optimus working in its factories by the end of this year, early next year. Then sometime next year, there'll be a next generation production Optimus, middle of 2026, basically. And once that's ready, along with the production line, then you're going to see that ramp to, tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 Optimus by the end of 2020, probably sometime in 2027. And then somewhere in 2027, 2028, we get a third generation production Optimus, and that's where everything goes crazy. What is a fun, easy saying in Filipino? I don't speak Filipino. I'm in Thailand. I'm in Thailand, so I don't know Filipino, but sabay di mai. Sabay di mai is how are you? Sabay di, I'm good. I think sabay di mai literally means are you good? And sabay di is I'm good. Sawati kap is hello. Sawati ka if you're a female. The ending is different for males and females. So I think the big story coming is how will, not just for XAI, but also for Tesla, how is Elon planning to ramp energy generation to provide sufficient energy for the Tesla AI training cluster and for all the Tesla cars and the robo taxis to charge them? And how will XAI get enough energy? Then how do they get enough money to buy the chips, right? If you're going to do this massive cluster, you're going to need a massive amount of chips. So is Elon expecting that Dojo 3 in a few years will be ready for that, and that they'll be able to manufacture that at larger scale at lower cost? I don't know. How will Elon reward longtime Tesla holders when Starlink stabilizes? Well, I don't think Starlink needs to stabilize. Starlink is already profitable and doing well. It's already stable. I don't think we get rewarded at all. I don't think that that's the way things work. I think Starlink will take off, and if you get the opportunity to invest in SpaceX, it's probably a good investment. I was hoping to invest in Neuralink. I think they just did a funding round, and I wasn't offered an opportunity to get in. Yeah, Starlink's money is, I don't think they're going to be sending cash to shareholders. They're going to use that to fund the Mars trip. I think and that's the biggest thing, Elon talking about what's going on with SpaceX and Starship. I'm revealing that next generation booster the engines are basically going to be exposed. A future iteration of Starship will have 9 engines. They're going to get taller. That's going to create more room for more propellant. I think they're about to accelerate the testing timeline. So you're going to see a Starship launch maybe every 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully. And that means you get more tests. And then, are they going to start launching from Florida soon? We'll see about that. Yeah, Raptor 3 is awesome. You thought Elon mentioned what a few years ago? I think there have been times when Elon has mentioned, trying to do something on behalf of longtime Tesla shareholders, but you couldn't do something for longtime shareholders that you wouldn't do for short-time shareholders. I just don't think that's practical. I think it's a nice idea, but like a lot of times he'll say something. People will ask him, "What about this?" And he'll say, "Sure, we'll do something like that." He just says it as a throwaway line. I don't think he's serious about it. So I think Neuralink is now in 5 patients. We knew about 3. I think we just heard that there's 5 now. We know of 2 of them, Modded Quad on X and ALS Cyborg on X. I think that guy's name is Brad something. I think that's going to be a massive, massive improvement for humanity. Very excited about that. Wish I could have gotten in the latest funding round. 5 cybernetic humans, exactly. Yeah, ALS Cyborg is great. Modded Quad is great. Grock's weakness in science is it reports the conventional thinking on subjects. Yeah, I have a lot of arguments, Jim, with Grock and with ChatGPT and with the other AIs, and they're just repeating back what they're reading in their data. They can be very useful. I have, just to give you like a simple personal example, because I'm so muscular. I'm not like some gym bro, but I'm relatively high in muscle mass for my weight and my height. And because I take creatine monohydrate as a supplement, there's when you do common blood tests, there's a number called EGFR, and mine is low. And if you saw and in fact, I was just denied health insurance because my EGFR was low. It's wrong. It's not the correct test for somebody who's got high muscle mass and takes creatine monohydrate as a supplement. There's another test called cystatin C. And on that test, I'm a little bit above normal, which is not ideal, but not badly above normal. And then there's another urine test where they see whether your kidneys are processing protein, and I'm fine. Like, that number was better than average. So when you see something and it's very common for foreigners to come to Thailand and you pay like $100 and you get this package where they do all these blood tests and all these other tests, and then you like start obsessing about some detail. So whenever I get these tests, I feed the results into chat. I used to feed them into ChatGPT. Now I feed them into Grock, and I have a conversation. So I'm talking with Grock about my kidneys, and it took me for a while, but I've come to the conclusion my kidneys are fine. I don't know what PFAS is. I don't know what that is, Jared. You get, all these different CBC and whatever, and you find out what your hemoglobin is and your HbA1c and all this other stuff. And most of my blood work is normal. And I even went and got there's a device called KARDIA. Look this up. This is actually pretty cool. It's KARDIA, the Cardia device. And you take the device. I don't have the device with me, but basically the device is a little bit smaller than a phone. You put 2 fingers here, 2 fingers here, and you put the back of it on your knee, and it generates a 6-lead EKG. Like a phone, an Apple Watch will do like a 1-lead EKG. A standard EKG is 12 leads. So it's like not a bad way of looking at your heart rate and looking at your heart rhythms and stuff. And it'll tell you, oh, you have a normal sinus rhythm. Oh, you have something else. So yes, Mark, it detects, I think it's AFib. But not only that, you can take the tracing and you can feed the tracing into an AI. You can feed it to Grock and say, hey, do you see anything here? So this was an interesting experiment. I ran the Cardia thing, and this was on for somebody else. Think that the Cardia app said normal sinus rhythm, no problem. We didn't pay for the premium where it'll give you a little bit more advanced diagnostics. And I'm like, well, you don't need to. You take the tracings and you upload the image to an AI and you say, hey, do you see anything abnormal in this ECG? And it will look at a lot more than Cardia will tell you. Even if you pay for premium Cardia, the AI can see a lot more in the tracings. So I asked Grock, and Grock said, it looks fine. I asked ChatGPT said, it looks fine. I don't see anything special here. I asked Gemini, and Gemini's like, well, I see this and this and this and all these points of pericarditis, which is a pretty serious condition. Now, the person we're talking about has no symptoms, right? There's no problem here. No symptoms, certainly no symptoms related to pericarditis. So that's weird. So I go to ChatGPT and I say, hey, Gemini looked at this, and Gemini says it sees pericarditis, it sees this, this, and this. And ChatGPT caved, said, oh, yeah, I see all that too. Grock said, nah, I don't see it. So is PFAs like the nanoparticle plastics in your body? There's a lot of bottled water consumed in Thailand, and most of it's plastic bottles. And there's a company called, I think it's Crystal, and we got the glass bottles. And you can't buy them in the store. You have to like have them deliver the water, the bottles, and they take back you pay for the first set, and they take a deposit, and then they come back and they bring you new bottles, and it has to be delivered and all this stuff. But we're going to start using the glass bottles to minimize our exposure. We'll probably still be drinking a lot of plastic bottled water, but trying to minimize our exposure to the nanoplastics and all that stuff. And I should mention my personal health is great. I recently leveled up in cardio. I do this exercise spike, and I go at a certain level, and my heart rate's 120, right? And I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, I know I've been working on it, but it was like I crossed a plateau or a threshold or something, and now I'm working at the same level, and my heart rate's 105 instead of 120. And I'm going harder, and I'm going harder, and I get to like 113. And it's like I'm struggling to get my heart rate back up to 120. I can get it there. Don't worry. I can really crank on it. But so thank you, Mark. I do feel good, and I've gotten stronger. And ooh, look at that. But I don't look jacked because I still have too much body fat. I did weigh. The other day I weighed 99.8 kilograms, which is the lowest I've weighed in a long time. 100 kilograms is 220 pounds. So historically, most of my life, I've been around 200 pounds. Because I've added so much muscle, I've been up to over 220. So I'm down right around 220 pounds, 100 kilograms now. This morning it was 100.2. It's almost like if I drink some fiber, if I have enough fiber, then I clear out my system and I weigh less. Yeah, I'm definitely younger than 74. Jim says some women have noted that Grock acts like a guy and likes to make pictures of women with full breasts. Ask it for Asian women. Ask it to make pictures of Asian women. You get a different result. How do I see XAI leveraging Tesla's real-world data to become more than just an LLM? That's a great question, Quasi. I think that what XAI is working on is different algorithms, so they're less reliant on human-generated text data. And the challenge for developing any AI, if you think about what AIs do, what Tesla's cars do, is they take video data from cars driving, and they figure out how to drive better. What most AIs do is most LLMs do is they take human-generated text data. Now they're working on, I don't understand how synthetic data generated by computers makes sense, but they're using text data, and they're figuring out, okay, what would I say next? What's the next word? What's the next pixel on the screen? So I think that the challenge for XAI is, can you get astronomical data and get a better understanding of astronomy by having XAI review astronomical data from telescopes? Can you get data from nuclear power plants and understand nuclear power better? I think it's going to be interesting to see what data they can find to feed in. And I don't know that Tesla's real world data is necessary for XAI's goals. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. Mark is 94 kilograms after dialysis. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Good luck with that. That is a challenge. And I'll just say, for me, it's my biggest challenge is losing weight. And I want to lose weight without losing muscle. So I go to the gym, probably averaging 4 days a week of strength training. Yeah, Ozempic would probably help you lose weight. I avoid that one. I'm avoiding those things. I think the jury's out on Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro, and I think people are jumping the gun on that one too quickly. And I think Peter Attia said that when his clients his patients use those drugs, they do lose weight, but they lose a lot of muscle mass with it. Yeah, and so I skip breakfast some mornings if I'm not hungry, and skip a lunch some days if I'm busy. And I think that's honestly the best way to lose weight is skip a meal here or there. Not like dedicated fasting, but just like once or twice a week, skip a meal and try to minimize snacking. The bane of my existence is pretzels and potato chips and a variety of other snacks. I think I'm being pretty good about that. So no, walking where I live is not necessarily friendly for walking. I just go to the gym. I, work out. I'll do like 90 minutes of strength training and then 20 minutes of cardio, or 60 minutes of strength training and 30 minutes of cardio, something like that. I do eat a lot of protein. High protein diet, protein powder, creatine monohydrate. I'm in a new habit of buying a kilogram of frozen ground beef for 2.2 pounds for what is that, like $7? And then just making burgers and freezing them, and then have a burger every other day. That's my new trend. That's like one more thing to like make sure I'm getting the iron and the other benefits of beef. And you got to really mash up the beef because you'll get like little chunks of gristle or something in Thai ground beef. Keto M&Ms. I do have a weakness for chocolate. I have been eating some chocolate. I don't think they have ground turkey in Thailand. But beef has a better nutrition profile, I think, than turkey or chicken. That's a long conversation. Okay, so I want to talk about SpaceX a little bit. I think that Elon is making some bold projections. If they can get enough test launches done in the next year from today. Today's May 31st. So by, let's say, June of 2026, can they get 50 test launches in? Can they get more than that in? They're manufacturing a very high volume. They're now have the manufacturing capacity to manufacture a very high volume of Starships already. So, the goal is by the end of 2026, I think it's like September, October 2026 to launch. You have to do like a lot of launches to get this there, but have 5 Starships in Earth orbit that get refilled with propellant and sent to Mars and see if you can land them. So yeah, beef has a lot of iron, definitely. I do like I don't know if it's very low sugar, but it's dark chocolate. I just try not to eat too much of it. So if this is the big deal, this is the big nut. If SpaceX can actually land think about this. What if SpaceX actually lands a Starship on Mars? It would actually be early 2027 when it lands. But if they actually send a Starship towards Mars, or send like 3 Starships towards Mars by the end of 2026. And I just want to mention, like, just on Elon's politics and the media reaction to Elon and the public reaction to Elon, it is, I've got a gripe here. It is really disturbing how much people crap on Elon and how little they know. Like, I really think that if the general public understood about Nolan Arbaugh, modded quad on X, I want to say it's Brad Smith. I'm not sure his last name's Smith, but ALS Cyborg, what Neuralink is doing for people who are paralyzed, what they're about to start doing for people who are blind. I don't understand how this isn't getting positive media attention, other than that the media is just absolutely total crap. What did I just see? Financial Times posted on Facebook that 12 investment managers who control $950 billion worth of Tesla. What do you mean 950? There isn't that much floating. The float isn't that. The Tesla's market cap is 1.1 trillion, and Elon owes like a big chunk of that. And it turned out they own like 0.25% of Tesla stock, not 90% of Tesla stock. Like, I don't like, you're the Financial Times. You're like the London's leading financial economics newspaper. On the par with the Wall Street Journal has trashed its reputation and its credibility. Financial Times has trashed its credibility. The media is just absolutely screwing themselves to the hilt. Like, look at what Elon is doing, and how can you look at this and say, what the hell? Mark Plott, I think if you go on sharespost.com or equitiesn.com, you can find opportunities to buy into SpaceX, but the minimum investment might be $100,000. There might be a 6% commission to buy in. Then there might be a 2% annual fee on what you hold. And then there might be a 20% carried interest fee, which means when you get profit at the end, they take 20%. So for me, although I think SpaceX is great and I would love to own some, if it was publicly traded and I could buy it without all those fees and commissions, then yeah, I'd be into SpaceX. But I think Tesla's going to grow as fast as SpaceX, if not more. So why would I bother holding SpaceX stock when I think Tesla stock? If again, if it was easy to buy, sure. Same thing with Neuralink. Same thing with the Boring Company. There are probably opportunities. I don't know if there's any Neuralink opportunities yet. I did see a Boring Company opportunity a while ago, and it's just like I didn't want to put $100,000 investment in. I didn't have that much free cash that I wanted to do that. And again, a quick mention if you haven't seen it, check out Drew Baglino on X. He announced Heron Energy. That's another exciting development. There's a bunch of things that need to happen for our future to happen. We need SpaceX to succeed with all its launches to get Starship going to Mars. I think Elon said 50-50 chance they actually launch Mars missions by the end of 2026. Maybe he's too optimistic. I think it could happen. So we want to see that happen. I'm very optimistic, but that needs to happen. And I think they're getting the cost of making starships down. They're getting the cost of propellant down. They've got a lot of things working to make this work. And then in order to make the future of AI happen, in order to make the future of large-scale electric vehicles happen, robo-taxis, we really need more energy generation. And you can't get it from just making natural gas power plants, coal power plants, and nuclear power plants. You need to see a massive ramp of solar and a massive ramp of battery storage to back up the solar. Mark Plot says, make babies, make multiplanetary. Okay, so my wife is not pregnant yet, as far as I know. We are still trying. I think we've been trying for about a year now. And, she's 37 years old. So it's, just a really nerd math thing that if I married a 25-year-old, the probability of getting pregnant in 2 years is about the same as the probability of getting pregnant with a 36-year-old. She was 36 at the time. In 3 years. So I'm not expecting it to magically happen like that, but we are trying. We may start looking into something like artificial insemination. We're not doing in vitro fertilization. I haven't been thinking about IVF yet. Yeah, there's some indirect ways of buying SpaceX, through Barron's fund. Ron Barron's fund is probably the best way of buying SpaceX stock, but you only you're buying a portfolio and only 7% of it is SpaceX stock. So, Ron Barron's a good guy. I don't think that's a crazy way of investing, but you're probably still paying some of those fees. You're probably still paying a 2% fee or a 20% carried interest fee on some of that. I'm not sure. I don't know if Ron Barron got direct access to it. Maybe he did. But like I said, shares, post, and equity Zen are ways of getting in, but it's hard. Ron Barron fund's probably the easiest way of getting in, but it's, how much of it is SpaceX and how much of it is something else. So, yeah, all right. So I've been going for about 50 minutes. I can't think of anything else to tell you. Good health, going to the gym. Thai food is great. My a personal story. So we were living in Bangkok in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and I didn't like the air quality, and I decided I want to create a better life, not just for us, but for my wife's nieces and for other members of her family. So at the moment, it's about a month ago, we moved down here with my wife's nieces, maybe a little more than a month ago. I put them in a Thai private school, not crazy expensive, not super cheap, but not crazy expensive. Just brought her mother and father down. Her father is, I guess I'll just say he has dementia and he doesn't do much. Mother is super helpful, takes care of the girls, just makes me random food. I'm just come downstairs here. I made this for you. And she knows what I like. He doesn't like it too spicy and he's trying to eat healthy. So he doesn't like this. And he likes this, whatever. So yeah, it's going great. Can you as a foreigner own real property in Thailand? Generally, no. There are some small exceptions that I'm not going to pursue. But my wife can own real property in Thailand. So favorite place in Thailand. Right now, my favorite place is Krabi. I think if you are a big city person, Bangkok is one of the greatest places in the world to be. I did not like Phuket. Phuket was crazy. I haven't been to Chiang Mai yet. I think Chumpon, if you want a nice quiet beach existence. There's a lot of places around here in Krabi. There's a place called Nong Thale, Nongthale. Nong Thale, nice, quiet. It's not really beaches, but nice water views. Even parts of Ao Nang, which is the foreigner dense touristy part of Krabi. There's some nice quiet spots there. Hua Hin is known. Hua Hin is nice because it's not that long of a drive from Bangkok. It does have nice beaches. I've been on the north end of the beach and the south end of the beach, stayed in 2 different places. It is known for being a popular place for retired foreigners. Phuket and Pattaya are known for being they're known for being the places with a lot of sex tourism. And even like those, it's like a fairly small area within those towns. Thailand's reputation for sex tourism is grossly exaggerated. Not to say that it doesn't exist, but it's just grossly exaggerated as a share of the economy. Phuket is, I just saw an article. If you just search for news about Phuket, Phuket is an island that has just become like a magnet for tourism, and it's just overflowing with too much. Traffic is terrible. You go to a beach, and we went to this beach, Phuket, and we're walking down the beach, and I just heard these people are talking Russian, those people are talking Russian, those people are talking Russian. Finding so if you go to a country, do you want to experience that country's culture, or do you want to experience some other country's culture? The joke about Phuket is if you want to go there, you should learn the local language. So brush up on your Cyrillic alphabet in Russian. Where we are in Krabi is mostly Thai people. Ao Nang, which is the touristy part, has more foreigners. A lot of Indians apparently in Krabi. But yeah, Phuket is just crazy traffic. I was going to say there's this. It's much easier to be biased and say things that are ethnically biased when you're not in America. So in Thailand, there's a lot of ethnic bias against Russians, Chinese, and Indians, and to a lesser extent, say Israelis and Brits. You'll get like the drunk Scotsman on a train. You'll get the Russians are terrible drivers. The Chinese can be rude. I don't know. Thailand, home of Fiat, Queen on Street, and Town Soft Whip Drummer. I don't know any of that, Mark. I've been here for well over a year, and I don't know what any of that is. I don't know what you mean by Fiat. I don't know what you mean by Queen on Street. I don't know what you mean by Tar and Soft Whip Drummer. I don't know what any of that is. There's a reputation that Thailand has, and people will watch some show that's set on in a luxury hotel on some island. I think it's Koh Samui. And I haven't seen any of that. Like, that's not the life that I live. So yeah, my favorite place is right here in Krabi. And I will say this, like, my view on travel, it's very common for people to travel, and I used to do this, where you go sightseeing. Well, let's go to this place and we'll see this, and we'll go to this place and we'll see these 3 things, and we'll go to this place and we'll see that thing. And Koh Samui is Kohsmui, but in Thai pronunciation, it's Koh Samui. Kohsamui. There's some, what is it called? White Lotus or something like that, some HBO show, or I don't know what it is. So it's very common for people to go sightseeing, and you'll stay in this city for 2 days, and then you'll go to that city for 3 days. And we just did a 17-day trip in Europe that was basically sightseeing. I don't like it. I like picking one spot, staying for at least a week, and staying in like a condo. Staying in a condo with a kitchen. Go to a grocery store and cook a few meals for yourself. Probably make breakfast every day, right? Maybe cook a couple other meals, and get an understanding. What is it like to live in this place? What find where the locals are and see what they're doing, and understand what life is like for that. Tesla fan asks, are there Jewish communities in Thailand? I haven't seen it in person. I know that there's a Chabad or something like that, Chabad, for those who don't know. I think there's some kind of Chabad. I think there might be some sort of, I had some limited communication with somebody that there was some kind of center in Bangkok. I think it's very small. There are Israeli concentrations. There's some small town, I don't know, like 5 hours north of Bangkok before you get to Chiang Mai, that's got some problem where there's a bunch of rude Israelis there. There's some, Israelis. What was my joke? 90% of Russians give the rest of them a bad reputation. You say the same thing about anybody. You can say it about the Chinese. You could say it about the Indians. You could say it about the Israelis, whatever. So there's, get somebody who's loud and annoying, and they'll make everybody, they try to make everybody else look bad because of it. I don't believe there's any synagogues. No. How accessible is the rest of Southeast Asia for you? Any plans for a tour? I've been to Malaysia. So for flying, Bangkok is one of the best cities in the world to fly from. I can fly to Japan. It's a 5-hour flight to Fukuoka. Most of my flights are $100 or less each way. If you're shopping, and I have to shop hard, often I find flights within Thailand or to somewhere like Kuala Lumpur. It might even be $50 each way. Mostly, if you want to fly to Vietnam, if you want to fly to Kuala Lumpur, if you want to fly to Singapore, um, probably Laos. You're talking 1 to 2 hour flights, $100 each way. Malaysia is I'm not a fan of Malaysia's government policies towards Israel. It's a very favorable country for people to come live in Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur is a great city, not on the scale of Bangkok, but still a great city, and it's a lot more walkable and it's a lot more green. Penang in Malaysia is a great spot. We went there once. Da Nang in Vietnam was pretty good. I went to Phnom Penh and I hated it. A friend of mine went to Phnom Penh and loved it. I think it depends on whether you like nightlife. He liked the nightlife. I didn't go out to the nightlife. I don't know what Fiat Queen is on Street Phuket. I don't even know what Street Phuket is, Mark. Are you talking about Bangla Street? I don't know what any of that is. So yeah, I think once you're in Asia, it's easier to travel in Asia. Singapore is a great place to travel from. Kuala Lumpur is a great place to travel from. Probably the Vietnamese cities are good places to travel from. Da Nang, Vietnam was a nice beach town. There's a place called Hoi An, HOI space AN or ANH. It's this nice little town not far from Da Nang. And that taxi ride's like $5 or something like that. So it's worth seeing a lot. But for me, it's like pick one spot and stay there. Find a co-working space or a coffee shop and set up with your laptop and do 3 days. You do a couple hours of work and you make a couple meals and you still go out and you explore, but pick that one spot. Laos, I haven't been to Laos yet. We might go to Laos at some point. It's not like high on my list. I honestly, my sense is that Laos, well, put it this way, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia are known mostly in Thailand for low-wage workers sneaking into Thailand to take jobs that Thai people don't want. Much like America has people from Latin America coming up and taking low-wage jobs in America that Americans don't want. So there's a flood of, we'll be at some restaurant, especially in Phuket, and we'll be ordering, and I'll say something in Thai to the waiter, and the waiter's looking at me funny, and I'll say it in English and fine. And my wife says, "Oh, they're not Thai." Like I can't tell. Like a Laotian person, a Cambodian person, a Myanmar. I'm an idiot. They all look the same to me, but she could tell like that. Oh no, they're not Thai. So True Earth says Philippines is nice and English speaking, but Thailand is better for digital nomads. What I've heard about the Philippines, I haven't been, is that the Philippines has a low quality of life. Manila has a lot of traffic and a lot of crime. The rest of the country is weak on infrastructure. Thailand has spectacular infrastructure. Thailand has its problems, and I probably could come up with a few off the top of my head, but Thailand has a very high quality of life for a very low cost of living. It's not Japan. Like for me, Japan is still number one in terms of quality of life for cost of living. Jared, I don't know if it'll let you post links. I don't think the chat lets you post links. So I watch way too many fitness YouTubers and health influencers and longevity influencers. So if I haven't seen it yet, then probably not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. No offense. So what I heard about the Philippines was, number one, spectacular beaches. If you are looking for a wife, I think the Philippines might be the best place in the world to find a wife. If you want to bring her home, if you want to find a wife in a place you want to live, then Thailand might be better. Yeah. How was Thai driving test in DMV? Thank you for asking that, Mark. So most foreigners, I think, find a way around having to do the driving test. If you're an American and you're thinking about coming to Thailand, and probably I would say this in general, if you're planning on traveling extensively, get an international driving permit. You don't need it in Europe. I don't think you need it in Japan. But it turns out in Thailand, you're supposed to have it. As far as I know, they don't really enforce that law. But when you try to get a Thai driver's license, if you don't have the international driving permit and you don't do other things, then you have to go through the driving test. So the multiple choice test or the multiple guess test, I got 49 out of 50, and I guessed on at least 15 of them. So I don't know how I got 49 out of 50. The road test is very limited. The parallel parking test was next level hard. It was just like, imagine trying to parallel park between two box trucks, two wide box, like between two, there's two tractor trailers backed up to each other, and you got to park in the space between them. And you have to get very close to the curb. And you can only make a total of 7 gear shifts, front and back gear shifts. Why Thailand over Japan for you? So I went to Japan first, spent 90 days there. I wasn't trying as hard to date as I probably should have because I was working on getting this particular visa. And then I was told I wasn't going to get the visa. Turned out I was going to get the visa, but I was told I wasn't going to get the visa. So I planned the trip. I ended up in Bangkok. Dating was really good in Bangkok for a 57 or 58-year-old white man from America. Dating is really good in Bangkok. I don't know how to. You go on the dating apps, and there's unlimited supply of women who want to date you. And I'm not looking to get laid. I'm trying to find a wife, and I have very particular things I'm looking for. And I was narrowed it down, and I wanted a bunch of dates. And I found my wife. And once I found my wife, like, well, how do I give her the best life possible to make things work for us? So that was the theory. And we did think about living in Japan, but I think for her, living close to her family in a place with good air quality, which is what I chose, is the right choice. But we will travel to Japan, and I could see 5-10 years from now, if the ways I see a path to where we might end up in Japan in 5 or 10 years. Philippines does have Starlink, and Japan does not. What did I say, Mark? So yeah, seriously, back to the driving test. So there's one part is just drive straight through some cones. They're actually poles. Drive straight forward, back straight up. Then you drive through them again. You come around. Then you do this. The parallel parking test was just like next level hard. And know your car and do it in a small car. So the one advantage of the Honda City is it's a very small car. This would have been a lot harder than a Tesla Model Y. It's a much bigger car because you have a set amount of space. I think there's people who take this test in a pickup truck. Like, what are you doing? And then there's another test where you pull forward to a curb, and you've got to be like, very close to the curb. And then there's like two front lines, and you can't see them, but you got to be between the two front lines. But I've driven the car a lot, so I know the car, and I've been driving for over 40 years, and I did fine. Yeah. So, all right. My wife is bugging me. She wants to go somewhere. So I've been going for over an hour. I want to thank everybody for being patient with me. Hopefully I'll start doing some more live streams again in the near future. I'll be posting more video content on here. We're starting to get settled where we are. I have a whole bunch of ideas of things I want to do. I have this fantasy of building a combination co-working, gym, cafe, and English school in one building. And it's sort of like a community networking spot for Krabi, which I think there's things missing in Krabi. We have a big mall coming, or not a big mall, a big brand name mall coming in October. Central Krabi is coming soon. But I think like something that can bridge the gap between foreigners and Thai people, and a place for business people to network and people to do stuff. I think there's a lot of good stuff happening. So yeah, I will try to live stream more frequently, probably be roughly this time of day, but different days of the week. We'll see how that works out. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you especially to Mark and Jim for moderating the chat. And we'll talk again soon. And I don't buy the t-shirts. My t-shirt, you can probably find a link to my t-shirts. elonbits.com is dead. The t-shirt provider is terrible at delivering. I've had a lot of complaints about it. So don't buy the t-shirts anymore until I come up with a better solution, which I'm not really motivated to do. So don't buy these t-shirts. It's Teespring is the company. They really haven't delivered quality service. So thanks everybody so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.